There was a character by the name of Vito Spataford, and he was spotted in a gay bar and was basically living a double life. And this kind of paralleled the story that was going on in the DeKalbs in real life. So what happened with this woman? What did she tell? What was the detail?
So Rudy, when he told me, he said Anthony Capel found out wasn't a gay bar, it was a swingers bar. They ran to John to tell John the guy's gay. I believe they took this much. Since when do we listen to women? We kill a boss over a woman's say.
The woman that told, who was that? Was that his girlfriend, wife, lover?
I heard it was his girlfriend. They went to swingers club together.
Okay. And she outed.
But what I don't understand is how does that, the boss's girlfriend, wife, no matter what, you don't cross that line. How is she telling you this? Why is she telling you this? Why are you talking to my girlfriend about swinging it? You understand?
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. Returning guest Zach Caruso to the show. We had you on a few weeks ago, and the comments got flooded. Who is this guy? Who is Zach Caruso? We don't know who Zach Caruso is because at the time, as we spoke about in the beginning of that episode, you were going under a different name that you were given since you had joined Witness Protection. But as the mob tube often does, they sniff out who people are. And your real name got pronounced, so I'll give you the honors. Tell people who you actually are.
My real name is James Vincent Sirocco Jr., a.k.a. Jimmy Easy. They all call me Jimmy Easy. Johnny A. Light confirmed that, too. It wasn't so much I was hiding at that point. Once it came out through the divorce, my oldest girls were old enough to know that Daddy was a bad boy, At that point, they asked me when they came out during the trial, when of course, her lawyer said, "How's it feel to have a father that's convicted of murders?" And my daughters looked at him like he was nuts, And at that point, afterwards, they asked me, and I sat them down, and I told them the truth. They were 17 and almost 19. I said, Daddy lived a bad life years ago, and I'm definitely not proud of it at all. Mm-hmm. I would have kept it quiet forever. It would have died inside me if I would have, but eventually it came out. And at that point, I'm going to elaborate on it right now.
Nice. Well, you mentioned John A. Light. I think your author, Carissa and John A. Light, done a podcast last week. I watched that. And I encourage anybody that had any doubts of who you were, things you were involved with, to the level, what degree, with what people, to go give that a listen. John A. Light is very respected in this genre. I personally have not had a chance to interview him yet. Hopefully we can make that happen soon. But anybody who's anybody in this genre knows who he is, and he's not a bullshitter. He verified that you were in the streets, that you were a wild guy. He verified, a lot of the stories that you told on my podcast. He even claims to be one of the guys that was involved in the beating that you got at the hands of John Gotti. Whether it was him, whether it was you, I'm sure John didn't just take a baseball bat to two guys, and by that I mean John A. Light. I'm sure he took a bat to a lot of people. I've heard the stories.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you've heard the stories. They called him the sheriff.
Okay.
So, but either way, he did verify you. The only thing that I think was slightly off was he said that he didn't know you to be a murderer, which, obviously you've confessed. Your book is called, Hitman. So that's obviously for a reason. So I do want to dive into that. But before I get into that, I do want to say that a lot of people in this genre that, self-proclaim themselves as the best and the most efficient. I've seen a lot of people in comments in my video and the other video you did with the English gentleman. I'm not sure of his name, but multiple people were calling you, fake and a phony and, made up stories and all this, that, and the other. with a few phone calls, I was able to verify that you were definitely involved. As to what degree, I didn't know 100%, but I made 3 phone calls to 3 people that know a lot, and they all verified you. So I knew you were definitely on the level. But I want to put that out there that, just because people come on here and they say who they're connected to, that don't mean everybody's a liar. Yes. Are some people full of shit? Absolutely. But
Absolutely.
just because somebody's new on the scene does not mean they're telling the truth. And you had a different name, and you've obviously laid it out there. You were hiding your past life, which you said you're not proud of, from your kids, which I think anybody with kids can totally understand that. So now that that's out of the way, let's dive into some of the murders that you did, was on your case. Let's dive into some of those.
Well, I had a few of them. One of them was a bookmaker that was around Rudy for years. He did work with me. He used to lay off to me. If he had too much, he called me in with some.
Right.
And his name was Vincent Chiaffe. He used to live downtown Brooklyn. His father was around Rudy. The whole family. His father, matter of fact, got killed by Rudy's fraction. I don't know who did it, though. And so Vinny was into Rudy for a ton of money. But the problem was he was running around with this Spanish girl that had a bad coke habit, and he was just addicted to her and the coke. So that put him in a hole, I think. So he had a nice Jewish partner with a lot of money. They had a good sports office, So make a long story, he gets jammed up. He owes Rudy maybe $253, around there. Then he owed me about 30 or 40. So he came to me and said, Rudy's giving me a hard time. I need help. I said, Vinny, I can't tell Rudy what to do with his money. He's my captain, And he said, no, look, I got my partner, Ivan, the Jewish guy. He's got a guy in the insurance company. We backdated a policy on my brother's Sally boy. $1 million. And he says, I give you 50, 100. I can pay Rudy off. I give Ivan something, this and that. And I said, Vinny, as you listen, I know what you're thinking. I'm a piece of shit. No, you don't know the whole truth. He's got AIDS. He's trouble in the neighborhood, breaking the old ladies' homes. Rudy got mad at him. He caught a beating already. He broke into a couple Joker poker machines of ours. So he was just a junkie from the neighborhood. I'll make a long story short, he proposed me, asked me to do that for him.
So this is Vincent basically saying they backdated an insurance policy on his own brother, Sal, and he has you to do the deed to pay everybody off and get current with everybody.
They even backdated the blood. They even did the blood.
Jesus.
And so he didn't tell me at first it was $1 million. He said a lot of money. I'll be able to pay Rudy off. So I'm surmising at least $500,000,
Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let me see, because getting it done was not a problem. But I had to ask Rudy, because really he was around Rudy before. Rudy, I went to him and told him the story. He said, this kid kidding me? I said, no. He said, so you think he's bullshit? I said, I don't know, but why would he want to tell me he's going to commit to me for 50 or 100,000, whatever I want to do it? And knows if I do it, I'm going to get my money one way or another. And, it wouldn't have been nice. Rudy says, go ahead. I got to give him my money. So, got him in the car. To today, I don't hear good. 4 or 5 shots in the car. My hearing never was better since.
How did you get him in the
So,
car?
make a long story short, got him in there. Well, I told him we're going to go do a robbery.
So you
I said,
told Sal
well,
this.
I need somebody. Come on.
Did you know Sal before this happened?
Yeah, from the neighborhood. He was like the neighborhood, pretty much going around looking what he could rob, steal. You had to yell at him. He was like, he was a ballsy kid, but anyway, man, a little story short. I hit him, dumped him on the Bell Parkway at Riding Academy on Marine Park exit. I dropped him right there.
What'd you use?
25. So it didn't go through his head, because anything bigger.
Yeah.
You got to mess all over the windshield. Maybe you ain't driving no more.
Still loud in the car, though.
No, never again. No, I said never again in a car. So, anyway, so that was that one. And then I had another one. Anyway, make a long story, get back to the stud story. After that, I went to Vinny. He said, okay, waiting on insurance money. Waiting for the insurance money. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Finally, it's like he's running, give me a runaround. So now I reached out to his Jewish partner with all the money. Ivan shows up with his brand new Jaguar, about 450 pounds. He had the balloon before I met him years later. I'll tell you that story. He pulls up. He said, I guarantee the money's coming. You got your money coming. Blah, 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 blah. So, all right, Ivan, remember, you stick it up for him, so that means you're vouching for him. That was my way to put the Jew on the hook because he was the money. Mm-hmm. Okay, finally a month later, Rennie, now he's ducking me. He won't answer my beeps, nothing. Now I said, Pluto, we got a problem here. I couldn't stop him no more. Pluto was type to kick open the door, kill everybody in the house. He was just nuts. Anybody in South Brooklyn will tell you, yeah, he's talking about Pluto, Anthony Sani. Forget it. He was shooting guys left and right.
That was his real name, Anthony Sani?
Yeah, okay. Yeah. So, anyway, so make a long story short, we put word out we're looking for Vinny. So Angel, that lives upstairs, electrician, which come to find out later, he got busted on ATF on machine guns. He gave me up. I found out afterwards when I flipped, but I'll tell you about that too. So he lived upstairs. He comes running in my apartment. I had the main floor. Hurry up. I see Vinny on 5th Avenue, 20th Street. He drove a gray Riviera. I'll never forget. So Pluto pulls up with Angel. Angel had his electricity work ran. Slide the door open. Vinny just went to reach. Too late. He hit Vinny multiple times in the neck. So Vinny was gone. So now I went to the Jew and I got my money.
So he had already got the insurance policy and was just trying to keep it. He had already got the cashed in on the policy.
He left his wife and kid over this Mexican girl. I don't even know what she was, Colombian, and she was a junkie. Mm. And gave up his brother. He lost his life. Well, that was the one. Then the other one, the kid Anthony, I told you, that was the other one.
That's looking at my notes here. What was that? Anthony what?
Anthony Sani, the Pluto's son, then eventually got killed.
His son.
Yeah.
So tell us that story. I know that was one where you rolled up on them together.
No, Anthony Sani was he was on the case with me in the Jersey case. I went into that with you. We got locked up on a Jersey case.
Okay.
I took him with me on a score. It was 4 of us got locked up. Old man Jack McInerney, remember that name? He was an old-time Westie with the guy J.M. Findy, whatever that Irish guy down there was. And we had Whitey Bulger. We were bringing everything we stole up to them.
And these were from what? Like business robberies, home robberies, whatever?
Oh, we did jewelry guy. We took him coming out of the jewelry store by his house, getting out of his car. Drugs, a couple drug guys we took, a bunch of them. That was my favorite thing because you couldn't call a cop.
Right.
You know, once I got the drop on you, it's your decision.
Who are you going to go to?
Yeah, no, I was good at that.
Okay.
I mean, I'll tell you a couple of stories of that. You'll really get a kick out of how smart we did it.
All right.
We did it in a smarter way, sometimes without violence. You know, there was a kid in Ocean Parkway. He used to live in an apartment building. Big Jewish kid, steroid kid, college kid. In those apartment buildings, you can't go kick a door down. So man Jack's got the tip. He's got a key of coke, a key of heroin, bust tons of money. He couldn't figure a way to get this kid. That's how sharp he was. We dressed as undercover. Bang on the door. Jack had that Irish look. He just shows a picture of a dead girl. This girl was last seen coming out of your apartment. You want to talk? I will get a search warrant. I need to talk to you a minute. Finally opened the door. Felt comfortable with it. No, I give you my word. That girl never came, blah, blah, blah. Finally, Jack said, listen, I don't feel comfortable. You start intimidating me with your size. We cuffed the bastard. He was big. I didn't cuff him. I start walking around the house. He said, wait a minute, what's that guy doing? Suddenly I come out. I said, shut the fuck up already. You're not going to jail. You're being robbed. Do you know what he said to me? Thank you. Oh, I couldn't go to jail. My parents would kill me. He told me where the drugs were, the guns, the money, the jewelry. That was an easy one. I used my brains a lot on scores. I did some pretty big scores, like the Panasonic score, almost $1 million. That was a good score I did. See, now I could talk about all this.
What's that, the Panasonic score? That's where y'all robbed the Panasonic?
It was another beef with the Gambino thing. I had this guy, Bob Stanley, and Johnny Eli brought up part of it. He was right when he said about a girl I was dating. Her dad got jammed up with me. I took his limousine company,
Right.
a couple $100,000. Then he had another guy, Cy Rosenthal, who was his partner. But he worked for a company that sold electronics, this and that. So they were big degenerate gamblers at the casinos. So I got Cy now up to 200,000. He's got a beautiful home in Roslyn. If you knew Roslyn, Long Island, you'll say the average home is $2-3 million. I ain't worried about it. So he couldn't pay me no more. He comes up with a scam. We faxed over a sheet from Harris Marina to his company. We needed 450 Panasonic PV510 camcorders for Harris Marina. So Cy okays the order. I pull up with a truck. We're here to pick it up from Harris. Cy comes out and says, well, no, usually we do. Listen, they need them by the morning. Well, we can't have them by the morning. Cy said, you want to take them? Take them. They loaded them on my truck. Off I went. Back then, they were about $2,400 each. Wow. The new portable camcorders, I had 450. Just drove away like this.
So you're battling Crazy Eddie for the scores. You remember Crazy
Brother,
Eddie?
I had every scheme of score. I had my hands in everything. One thing, Jimmy Easy did not leave a quarter on the table.
You remember Crazy Eddie?
Yeah, I was away with Eddie Anton.
That's right, you did tell me.
I was in Otisville with him. Him and his co-defendant, big guy, we called him Serge, like 7 foot tall. Never said a word, just followed Eddie everywhere.
So what was that whole deal? Was everything stolen or what?
No, he was taking all the investors' money.
Oh, so it was more of a Ponzi thing. I can't. It's been so long.
Yeah, half the stuff was being sold. When they're saying $88, they sold maybe 2. Oh, it was like a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, every commercial, man. Crazy Eddie's. I remember watching it on a show that I used to look at all the time called Masterminds, where they would talk about these people and these crazy crimes or whatever, and they almost got away with it type thing. And I remember seeing that, and I'm just like, the money that, I mean, you would think by watching these commercials, they're selling these things hand over fist.
Yeah. All the investors, he had a lot of Jewish investors coming in big money. They were popping up stores. The stores were like, I don't know why to you, as deep as a little maybe 30 feet deep. It was all a front line.
Yeah.
They weren't selling many of them. They got all the money. He ran to Israel. He's one of the first guys expedited back with nonviolent crimes.
Wow.
That's what he claims.
And then he paid a lot of money too, and didn't do nowhere near the time he was facing.
And he still got 16 years.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
But he was a clever guy, Eddie. Anton.
All right. So,
but that wasn't him on the commercial. The guy that crazy, No, he's totally don't look nothing like him.
So we covered the Chiaffi brothers. Vincent hires you to take out Sal. Vincent tries to keep the money. You wind up taking out Vincent. What was this? John mentioned the kid Chris Havey.
Yeah. Well, Chris was, okay, see, he said after the sit-down, he don't know what happened after the sit-down. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't there, at the table with the wise guys, captains. I mean, I had big shots going back for me. Wild Bill was there for me. I had Wild Bill. He even said Joey Messina put his 2 cents in for me. I mean, I was a stand-up kid. I got pinched, a dozen pinches. I did bids. Then I got to come home to a family that everybody flipped. Mm-hmm. I'm in a bad spot. Mm-hmm. I'm coming home, probably be 50s or 60s after I play out to the bodies. Mm-hmm. I'm going to come home to what?
If you come home.
Exactly. And because at that point, after my 4th bid, I'm going to trial because I'm going to expose everybody at that point. Because I don't respect what they did. I don't respect what I did. No. Johnny Eli tries to say I'm not around. Yes, you are. Anybody sits with the government's no good. And I've always said that. So, and I appreciate him saying that. But even though I had every excuse, it don't make it right to me. But
yeah, people definitely have different views on that. I mean, and depending on who you talk to, John's got an interesting view to be as deep and as in the inner circle as he was in the Gambinos. Some people live by that, that code. If you rat, you rat. And regardless of the, what the situation you were, what you were facing, if you talk, you talk. And, that's not the code. But, I mean, Well, let's just be honest. Very few people stick to that code. You know, you can count on one hand, probably almost. Joey Merlino being one, never cooperated, never ratted, never done anything. Would never. If they arrested him tomorrow and gave him 100 years, I don't think he would say a word. I really don't. John Gotti, same thing.
But everybody says exactly what you look at me. I was the type of guy in Fort Dix. Like people said, he was never with Sammy. I was never with Sammy in Fort Dix. So they're misinterpreting the whole thing. I was with Sammy when he caught his Arizona case for the ecstasy, the 20 years. They brought him back to the Fed's WITSEC unit.
Where at?
He's in MCC.
Brooklyn.
Because he was meeting with the Feds, trying to help to get his 20 reduced any way he can. He was, panicking.
Right.
20 years for him was a long. And I don't know. He says he has a medical illness. I don't have to put it out there.
Right.
So 20 years for that poor guy was like. So make a long story short, I was with him in the WITSEC unit when I got discharged on March 5th, 2005. He was my cellie. I left him everything, Sammy. He was my size, good guy. He didn't bother nobody in there, But that's where I was with Sammy. He was not in Fort Dix. I was in Fort Dix. I caught a case. I was there with Louis Ha-Ha, which Louis Ha-Ha pretty much proposed me. He said, listen, you go home. You're going home to Vinny Palermo. I didn't know I was going home to a family that's all going to get pinched.
Right.
I says, Louis, I'd love to be with you. He said, I'll do something for you because you're right up my alley where you're an earner, loan shark. You're right up. That's Louis' big thing. I said, Louis, let me see what happens. I go home. Joe Smash came to me right away. Handed me $300 here, get on your feet. I didn't need it, but $300. All these years, we made millions. But that's what I'm talking about, this life a little bit. For me, I'm a lot different guy, a lot more generous. So he come to me and says, listen, Billy knows you're home, you're in the halfway house. And let me tell you another thing I got to say about Billy. My son's mother worked at a AT&T store right around where Billy had the club. Billy's going there and pay his bill. Mm-hmm. Every time he went in there, here, send this to Jimmy. Send this to Jimmy in Fort Dix.
You're talking to Wild Bill?
Yeah. I'll tell you, well, not to get off the other subject, I'll tell you a sit-down I had with him, and he pretty much ruled in my favor 100%. So I was in Fort Dix with a lot of good guys. Then when I came home, I was in the halfway house. Joe came to me and said, Billy would love to have you up there with us because there's nobody around in that crew no more. They're going to divide you up. Before somebody else grabs you up, I know what you're capable of. I know. I want you, Joe Smash. Joe Smash, Chris will tell you, not many guys got along with Joe Smash. Mm-hmm. He was strange in a good way. He just kept to himself, didn't go out, made his money, go home. He wouldn't even go have lunch with nobody. He believed, like when we had to go up to Billy's place one day a week, he'd always ask me to go up there with him. But that place was hot as fire, especially after the cop got killed. Joe was parking 4 blocks away. Joe, parking 4 blocks away, I'm going to get pinched. It's cold out. But Joe was very concerned. And, I had to drive him around during the Colombo War. Mm-hmm. That was nerve-wracking. Because I'm going right up to Russo's brother, Chucky Jojo, and them, they had it in for him. Because he swapped sides. He got caught in a bad spot. Right. He was put in a bad spot, Joe. And I'm driving him around, and Rudy, after a while, said, listen, I need you to stop driving this guy around. They kill you and him. I mean, me, Joe, and Rudy, we ran all the Charlotte business now. So Rudy loses both of us. He's got it. That's what I'm thinking he's thinking. He ain't worried about me. Well, no, Rudy probably did.
So what was the situation and the circumstances of a sit-down with Wild Bill?
Wild Bill, we had a piece of a collision shop with the one kid that came to do the Haby shooting with me, with Michael Stepanavo and Kevin Kavanaugh. Kevin was the guy that drove when I shot Fat Ronald. So we had the collision shop.
Shot who?
Fat Ronald. I tell you that story, the after hours. All right. So what were we just talking about? I just got with the subject.
The sit down with Wild Bill.
Oh, yeah. So there was a guy named Rennie Muscles, big muscle-bound kid. He had a collision shop. And he was around Wild Bill. Joe Campy, I think, at the time, before Joe Campy flipped, Joe Campanelli. He was a good guy, Joe Campy. I know he flipped, but he was a good guy. Anyway, Vinny was a beat artist. So, make a long story short, he tried a couple of shenanigans. You know how it is at the chase trucks, who gets there first, this, that. So he did some slippery moves. There was a problem. He made a comment, and I pretty much threatened him. He ran to Billy. So Billy sat down. I was sitting over there with Joe waiting for, your ex-man. Billy calls Billy and says, Jimmy, come here. Tell me what happened. And I didn't want to tell him. Vinny went to interrupt me. And Billy told me, shut up. Jimmy would never lie to me. And I wouldn't. You only lie when you're alone.
Right.
And I told him, I said, listen, the guy started threatening me. I'm not going to take that. Billy, I don't give a shit how big he is. And Billy told him, now don't say another word. You paid him the money that you beat them out of, this or that. That's how Billy treated me. I got the utmost respect for Billy.
I've never, and everybody that I've talked to, and this is including his son, Bill Jr., I've never heard anybody say anything negative to him. And that says something, because with the amount of respect and I'm sure fear that he had and inflicted on people, for them not to say a cross word about him, that's a hard line to toe. You know what I'm saying? Usually for people that demand that much fear, you're not always the nicest guy. But he's always been talked about as a gentleman from everybody that I've spoken with that knew him personally.
Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty good at reading people. Mm-hmm. When you watch Billy's eyes, he don't miss a spot in the room. He don't miss a trick. And let me tell you something. You can see the guy was deadly. Yeah. Very capable. But at that stage, you're not capable no more. It's just, hey. At that stage, you're not going to pull triggers. Right. Unless it's a personal vendetta. Right. That you want to get the satisfaction out.
Okay. So, expand, before we jump to the other one we were just talking about, expand on the Chris Habey situation in total. What happened? Because I know John mentioned
it. After the sit down, Rudy took me for the walk, and he said, listen, the guys that were there that night, you can't kill them. You definitely can't kill Junior.
And you're referring to the guys that were there when you got the beating that we talked about on the first
Yes, podcast. Because I wanted to kill somebody. My first intention was Junior.
Right.
Then he said, listen, right now you kill Junior, you better hide your whole family.
Right.
His father will make sure everybody gets killed in your family. Mm-hmm. He said, listen, wait 4 or 5 years, I told you that. He said, then boom, the kid gets hit out of nowhere. They will know where it come from. He has a ton of enemies. So, make a long story short, after the sit-down, they told me that I couldn't kill. But, Chris or Doug Habey, I get the brothers mixed up. The one that lived right around the corner from my dad on Cohansey Street. His yard backed up, because Johnny A. Life made a comment, his ex-wife, somebody's yard backed up. My father's by out, so I probably knew the lady. I didn't even know it was his wife. But that's where I tried to kill him, right there. And then my father the next day called me and says, hey, they tried to kill that kid you hang out with around the corner.
And how did that go down?
How it went down was I was sitting on him because he worked at a Fulton vegetable market. So about 4:30, it was his routine. I was trying to get it down. I had a couple chase cars, getting the routine down. He was inconsistent. And somebody told me the reason why. I had somebody tell me because he liked to sniff coke all night. So there was times he didn't go to work.
Right.
So I was in the back of the van, cold, sitting there with a pistol, waiting to clip him as soon as he gets in the van. He didn't lock it. He's too stupid. So I was sitting there one night, two nights, starts getting light out. I know he ain't coming no more. Get back out, get out. Third night, getting ready. I'm bundled up, nice and ready. Who comes out of the house? Him. Instead of going across the street to his Lincoln truck, van, which I wouldn't have time, but I was going to get him right there in the street, hit him in the street. Goes to get his Lincoln. I said, Mikey, Sapp, pull up, so up. I pull up. I said, good night. Thing jammed on me. That's why I'll never own a revolver, automatic, the rest of my life. So Mikey Sappadao had him half cornered in. He got out, popped a couple of shots at him, but didn't hit him. Over the police scanner, shots fired. Man tried to shoot on 155, 155th Avenue and Cohansey. He called it right in.
Okay.
So, make a long story, I heard the scanner. We ditched the car.
And you had to have a talk with somebody about that?
The next day, Rudy calls me up again. Got to see you. All right. You failed your attempt. End it. End it. The Habees, they left. They left. They took off.
Okay.
Then I found out later on they were living in Ozone Park by a guy named John Rizzo. That's a guy named around Johnny Caniglia. They were bad guys.
So who was the guy you mentioned earlier? Fat Ronald or something you said?
I had it after hours down on Fifth Avenue, on the block of the old Carmine Persico's club. It was a couple doors away. Mm-hmm. So he called to me, let's open after hours. He knew at that point I could do whatever I wanted. Rudy gave me free reigns to the whole neighborhood. Okay, let's open after hours. I put my gambling machines in there. I tell all the old ladies in the neighborhood I have coffee with them. I have to come in, play. They get the checks beginning of the month. So I got the gambling machines in there, slot, whatever. I got money going in. I told him, you can have the ball. Keep it. Keep the ball money. You keep it. I says, and then he was a coke dealer. Keep it. I don't want it. So, make a long story short, then he put a box up near Super Bowl time. Calls me up, Jimmy, I need about 10 guys. Come on, help me out. They're $100 a box. Kevin, this one, that one. I make them all buy a box.
Okay, I know. I remember you telling me the story now. I didn't realize that was the
I make them all buy a box. Football kicks off. Ronald, I need my box. I'm busy. Hangs up on me. I got guys I just made spend by boxes. Okay. I wait 15 more minutes. Game's on. I call back. Christine Persico. Carmine Persico's niece answered. I said, Christine, where's Fat Ronald? He said he's busy, and I hear him back. I'll just fucking hang up on him. Well, yeah. Yeah, Ronald. I was dating his sister, Rhonda. I knew his father, Denny Holmes, Rhonda Holmes. I told Batman, that was the guy with the tow trucks. He could drive. Good drive. Good wheel man. Get the car. We got to go do something. All right. I take out a 38. Big bastard. I think I had 357 tips in it. I think you can, right? Yeah, so I hit him. I opened up that door to about 55 people, 60 people in there. Middle Super Bowl. He said, oh, what is your problem? You see I'm slammed? I said, who are you talking like that? Boom. Ah! He jumps on his mother. I hit him again. Everybody screamed. Then I turned around, now I can say, everybody started screaming. I said, everybody see who did this? Jimmy Easy did it. Everybody see who did it? Everybody said, no. And I told a couple guys, Sweeney and the other guy, I said, oh, don't take him to the hospital. I tell him, if anyone sees 2 guys drove by and shot you, right, Ronald? He said, yeah, I swear. He had multiple surgeries. He never walked right the same.
Did you ever see him after that?
Yeah, we had a fist fight. I went to Fort Dix. I come home. I'm still in the halfway house. They think I'm on home confinement. I'm not even in the house. I'm at the bar, hanging out with a couple girls at the bar. And Ronald, I send him a drink. He sends it back. So I take a bottle of Corona and I just crack him with it. We start going at it. Ronald's a big boy. But I was feeling no pain. We went out in the middle of the street. We started battling. Afterwards, got up. Now I said, okay, I'm going to clip him. First thing came to my mind. Get in my car. He wouldn't let me out of the car. He said, look, end it. I'm sorry. We got it out of our system. He knew he signed his death certificate. Because I was going home to get the works. And then Megalon, I got out and I talked. He said, I loved you like a brother. And I did like Ronald. I did like him a lot. But when he was in it, he was like bipolar.
Yeah.
1 minute, and then 1 minute just bark at you. And don't be barking at me, especially in front of people. Mm-hmm. You're my friend. You don't do that to me. And then, you put me in a spot like that.
So what happened? Y'all just in the beef?
Yeah, but what happened was that night, Ralphie Guarino, that's the guy who robbed the World Trade Center. We'll go into that story. Ralphie Guarino is best friends with Denny Holmes. Ralphie Guarino is under Rudy, but Rudy put me in between everybody. He had a feeling there was somebody bad.
Right.
So Ralphie pretty much knows you come after me, you got a problem. My cousin Linda and them call me up. Denny Holmes, Ralphie, the 3 guys in a Lincoln, blue Lincoln, rag top, gave me a description, looking all over for you. Oh, yeah? I'm calling Ronald. I'm calling Denny Holmes. Calling Ralphie Guarino. I left the message. Listen, I'll meet you back at the club. I'll be outside the club. Hung up. Sat outside the club. I had about 3, 4 more guys in there ready. Next day, Rudy calls me to the club, wakes me up, because I was out all night looking for them. Farrell's Bar, downtown Brooklyn, that's where I was looking for them. They were going to get shot too that night. Make a long story short, next morning, Rudy calls me up. I think I got home 5 in the morning. I met some girl, we drank all night. I got home about 5 in the morning, 7 in the morning for Rudy. They called Rudy right away in the middle of the night. My son had multiple surgeries. Rudy said, what'd you do? He called me Jesse James. Jesse James, now what? Who you shooting now? Calm down. You're making a name with that. Make a long story short, they made us shake hands. Danny Holmes tried telling Rudy, oh, I'm gonna do this. Rudy said, you ain't doing nothing. Joe Smash says, that kid, one thing happens to that kid, I'll leave you where you're standing. I had a lot of love for me, and because I was loyal to them. I told you, I took multiple pinches. One of them, I didn't even do it. I took the pinch. I stood up. But how can you keep standing up when you're the only one going to jail? And you're like...
And I do want to get into that portion of the decabs. There was one other that you and I talked about. There was a situation where you had to sit down with Joe Watts. Let's get into that.
Joe Watts came down, always well-dressed, hair perfectly done, Nice guy, really was. He was a gentleman. He pretty much knew his guy was a deadbeat. You know what I'm saying? When you're representing somebody and he's a beat artist.
This is
and
Raymond,
I'm sitting there.
You're referring to Raymond?
Yeah. Everybody knew it. The whole neighborhood knew it. Nobody trusted him.
Right.
I had a great reputation. You bet with me. You needed money. Jimmy Easy was there. But with Joe Watts, pretty much, when he heard the story, I said, Joe, so when he calls up and edges off me 10 dimes on this game, 5 guys, so if I send some out west, or I send some out to east, wherever. Now he decided not to pay me. I'm on the hook now. If that's the way we're going to run this game, it's not the right way. And he's bringing up a swag thing we did years ago. Why aren't you bringing up the weeks that I paid you? And Joe Watts says, you got a point there. I know I got a point.
So he gave you the okay.
Yeah, then he told, that's when Raymond kept saying, no. I said, listen. And Rudy said, want them to let them handle it. Rudy said, Raymond, go get a big gun, he says. A big one, told him. Rudy was funny. Then he says, Jimmy, meet you on one end of 3rd Street Park. 3rd Street Park goes from 5th Avenue to 4th Avenue. It's a big park. You walk right through. You meet on one end, we'll see who comes out alive, he says, Raymond. I wish you the best. And he laughed. Joe Watts says, hey, that's what you want. So I ran home, got my works. I got Pluto. I tried to kill him outside his house, and he lived. But he fired back. He did shoot back. I give him props.
So walk me through that story. Did you guys case him for a bit, or what happened?
No, I was hot.
Okay, so you left, went home and got him.
One of my weaknesses was my temper.
Okay. And I think if the story that you and I were discussing, he wasn't alone. He had a son with him.
Yeah. But his son was in the life. So was a bookmaker, too.
Right.
His son was about 20, 21, 22. But a street kid. Drug dealer, hustle. He's got another brother that was like 17, 18. He wasn't there. Another one, just like his father.
So y'all opened fire. Where were they at? Were they parked or in front of the house, or where were they at?
He lived in Staten Island, Raymond. It was a dead-end street. They backed up to the water. And when I pulled down his block, it's a cul-de-sac, right in the middle. He's just getting out of the seat. Right away, took mine out. Pluto stopped this car. I had to open up the door. Boom, boom, boom. He ran behind his, the same chain fires. The son screamed, but the only thing I told Pluto, the only thing we could have got was his leg. It's the only thing he could have seen. Unless you got him by the hand. Yeah. But I never heard nothing from it.
And then what happened after that? Anything ever come of that with you and him, or did y'all just not deal with each other after
No,
that?
then we were told, Joe Watts told him, now, do you want us to handle it? He pretty much said, yeah. So Joe Watts paid. We came up with a fair number. Don't hold me to exact. I think I might have took 20 off.
Right.
And then we took off the money with the BS swag stuff that is worth shit to me.
Right.
It was more of a headache. And we settled with a number, and that was it.
That's what.
Then I had another beef. Johnny Eli brings it up with Bobby Borriello.
Mm-hmm.
There was a guy, Robert Stanley, the guy who took the limousine company offer. He ran to the La Bella Vita. He knew them good. See, Johnny made a comment about a girl in La Bella Vita restaurant. I don't understand what that was. It was about Bob's daughter. I used to go out with the limousine owner.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe she went to them because she went to school with the Maldicas. That was their last name.
Okay.
So maybe she ran to them. They ran to Bobby Borriello. Bobby Borriello sent for Rudy, and Joe Smash came. I was there. It was in a blue fountain right on Cross Bay Boulevard. We were way in the back room. Like a little private room back there. And they were asking about how it came to a head, this and that. And every time I said something, Bobby Borriello said, no, you're too sharp for them. You took advantage of. He was just waiting for me to answer him wrong. Mm-hmm. I was too smart for him. I wasn't going to say nothing to rile him up. Mm-hmm. Sir, that's how you feel. What am I going to say?
Yeah.
I can't win. I'm in his courtroom.
Right. Makes sense. And that's what a lot of people don't get, like, especially bookmakers like yourself. You know, when guys do bet heavy and you know they're trying to dig themselves out of a hole, it's the nature of the game. You know, Saturdays go to shit, Sundays go to shit. They load up on Monday. They're trying to dig out of a hole. It's a story as old as time. But when you guys do lay off to other people, like you said, you've got bookmakers that you lay off to. There are bookmakers whose sole clientele are other bookmakers that lay off, that handle high volume.
Yeah.
And when that loses, you know, your name is at stake for the people that you lay off for them. So that's why it is that serious, because it's not a matter of they lost it to you, they just need to pay you. Sometimes it's a case where you laid them off, now you owe somebody else. So you have to be on the hook for them to protect your name, your reputation in this business. Now you got to get it from them, because if you don't, then your name in the street is shit that you don't get, you know, they can run up a tab.
If you don't have a problem.
Right.
It could be a repercussion if it's enough money.
Exactly. And most times it is. That case.
You know, you're not talking, because if I'm laying off, it's going to be a big package.
Right.
I'm not going to lay off 5 dimes, 10 dimes. I can handle that.
Right. But,
so, you know, like I told you, I had a mailman out there, Tin Man. I'll send him 30, 40 cash in FedEx envelopes. No problem.
That's wild that they would send that in them envelopes, FedEx envelopes.
First time he sent him, I said, listen, Tin Man, you don't know me from Adam. He said, but I know your Uncle George. He has Sweetwater, the band, whatever. And he's like, if he says you're good, you're good. And I had a long 5-10 year relationship. Chris will know who he is, the Tin Man, because when I did the F sheet, he called in there too. But his money came next morning.
Wow.
Envelope, FedEx.
So let's switch over to the decafs for a minute, because I had a lot of people in the comments was saying, you know, they were enjoying some of the stories that were related to them. You don't hear a ton on them. I mean, there are some stories out there. I've interviewed Giovanni Rocco that went undercover and took down, you know, some of those guys, Charlie Stango and a few others. But
that was more the Jersey fraction.
Right.
You got to remember, the Cavalcade, you got a strong Brooklyn base. That's what we were.
Right. So y'all were on the
Then
Brooklyn.
you got the Jersey part that, you know, we're affiliated, but pretty much that was their thing.
Right. So there's a character, and we talked about, I'm pretty sure on the first episode, his murder, but Johnny Boy D'Amato. What was your first impression of him? How well did you know him? How was he received in the streets?
I mean, he was not one that talk a lot, to like, not so much like me. He'd talk, but you never hear him talking business. He'd always go for a walk with Rudy or something. You understand? You didn't analyze him enough to sit with him and talk with him enough. Mm-hmm. You know, but I know that they didn't like him. They wanted Corky to be in charge.
When you say they, who are you referring to?
Rudy Ferrone, Vinny Palermo, Anthony Capel, Victor DiChiera, the ones who had killed him.
I was about to say, you pretty much named the guys that killed him. So
they pulled the trigger. I know those stories.
Right.
Right? That was some of the downfalls. See, John Gotti didn't want him killed. John loved the Amatos. They bought John a lot of money. Corky was more of a tough guy, like, you know what I mean? So John wanted Diamante. But so I believe they took this much. Because since when do we listen to women? We kill a boss over a woman's say.
So
since when?
That's where I wanted to get into, right? Because this story is interesting. And anybody that watched The Sopranos, which in my opinion is one of the greatest TV shows of all time, when it was wrapping towards the end of the season finale, I want to say it was in the first part or the second part of season 6. There was a character by the name of Vito Spatafore that was played by Joe Ganascoli. Played it very well. And it became known he was spotted in a gay bar and was basically living a double life. He was an earner. Tony, to a certain extent, wanted to protect him. And then the Brooklyn faction, played by the late Frank Vincent, may rest in peace, was obviously very upset and wanted to, take him out, and eventually did in a hotel room. And this kind of paralleled the story that was going on in the DeKalbs in real life. So what happened with this woman? What did she tell? What was the details?
See, I was originally told, it was told to Anthony Capel.
Okay.
But then I read other things that says Anthony Rotunda, she told it to.
Okay.
So Rudy, when he told me, he said Anthony Capel found out wasn't a gay bar, it was a swingers bar.
Swingers bar.
Okay. They wanted him out of there. Listen, he was supposed to be a greedy guy. Mm-hmm. Okay? Ricky had all the union money, whatever. He was a greedy guy. Corky and Rudy, they loved each other. Vinny loved Corky. So who do you think they want in charge?
On Corky.
They ran to John to tell John the guy's gay. Vinny you know who knows the whole story, never talks about it? Sammy the Bull. Mm-hmm. He was there the whole set. Because when Sammy flipped, they all got nervous. Because he knew about the murder. Mm-hmm. He was there when they sanctioned it.
So what it was
that murder and the other murder they did, the Fred Weiss murder.
Okay,
that's what killed the Cavalcantes. They did that murder for John. That's why John had so much love for the Cavalcantes. I believe that guy got killed because he changed lawyers.
And who was that?
Fred Weiss.
Okay.
He killed it, I think, in 89 or 91. He was in a black GMC Jimmy or whatever one of those black square things are. On Highland, they killed him outside his house.
And what was the reasoning?
He was in a garbage disposal. He was I don't know if he was worked for the state, whatever. There was somebody was dumping toxic waste, medical toxic waste, whatever. Big fun, this, that. So he was around John.
Okay.
And there was no dumping. There was a strike or whatever. John had him, told him what he was going to do. Finally, he got to the point where he wouldn't listen. John got word he got indicted. But he didn't tell nobody, I heard. So that's a little scary. So, do I know the whole story, whether he cooperated or not? No. But John was afraid he was going to cooperate, and he reached out to the Cavalcantes, and he asked for the favor, because pretty much he gave the green light with D'Amato.
Right.
Even though he loved him.
So it was
when he heard that, he said, he's got to go.
So it was pretty much, why take a chance?
He got killed, and then they cut him up Rudy's garage. Rudy got so paranoid weeks later, you had people come with a jackhammer. Bah, 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 bah.
So the woman that told, who was that? Was that his girlfriend, wife, lover?
I don't know. I heard it was his girlfriend. They went to swingers club together.
Okay. And she outed.
But what I don't understand is how does the boss's girlfriend, wife, no matter what, you don't cross that line. Mm-hmm. How is she telling you this? Why is she telling you this? Why are you talking to my girlfriend about swinging? And you understand?
Yeah. How was that subject matter even being brought up between you two?
Especially when we were hoping he would not take the vein. They wanted Corky in there. They wanted Corky in charge. Rudy hated Corky.
So, your opinion, do you think that story could have been maybe just a story of they went and visited and they was like, hey, we can spin this to take him out,
Well,
make it bad
I,
enough?
I, I believe if he was in there, I mean, you're a boss. Are you that stupid to go walk around the club, be seen? Now, I'll tell you a prime example, and I'm as straight as they come. I got a cousin out in Long Island. He owned the Long Island Manor swinger club. I've been in there twice. You know what I went in there? 5 o'clock in the evening. It opens at 8. I won't be there. Mm-hmm. I went there. His name was Jimmy Alloy.
Jimmy Alloy?
You're not related to Buster Alloy. None of those.
Benny
No.
Alloy. Okay. All right.
No, none of those. No. He was related to me.
Okay.
Which, that's another thing. The Gambinos tried to lean on him. And I put him on record with Rudy. I told him 200 a week. He cried about the 200 a week. He was making himself 20, 30,000 a week. Some people never stop crying. And when he hears this, I'll get a phone call. But he knows it's true.
Yeah, I mean, that's all good points because, I mean, say he was there or whatever. Who knows? He could have been there on business or whatever. I mean, was there anything else known to be about his private life and behind closed doors? Or do you think that's just all what they needed to do the deed?
I don't think I think they wanted an excuse.
And they found it.
And they ran with it. They convinced John, because you know why? Because John loved him and John needed work done. Mm-hmm. But John did help Anthony Capo. And as a matter of fact, Rudy proposed to me years ago. Before I went away to Fort Dix, I didn't even know. He kept telling me, listen, it'll be easier if I do something for you because all these beefs, it's easy. You go sit down, cut the money yourself. Okay. So I kept telling him, it didn't matter to me. I was still making the money, still living the glories. To me, it was just another label, another X on your back.
Right.
And it was something my father never wanted, but at that point, And Alan Longo, a captain of the Genovese crime family. My Uncle Ralph used to hang out in his club down on 5th Avenue between 34th, on Cowles Street between 34th Avenue. Mm-hmm. And in there one day, he walked over to my Uncle Ralphie and he said to him, he says, hey, I got to talk to you. I was talking to Rudy the other day. He said they're going to do something for your nephew. They're going to straighten him out. And he came to me, told me that. I said, Rudy, Uncle Ralph, first time I heard it. Rudy always should have. He knew my father didn't care about it because my Uncle Freddie got killed by the Colombos. Carmine Persico ordered it.
Mm. Why was that?
Found him with 36 bullets in him.
36?
He was a bad guy. I'll tell you a quick story. I was away at a state joint, and an old man, Tony Guccione, Tony Gooch, they called him. That was the nickname. And my Uncle Freddie, they used to call him Rocco Sirocco because he was good with his hands. So one day they're paging me out in the yard and calls me over. He said, hey, kid, are you related to Rocco Sirocco? I said, that was my Uncle Freddie. He said, I want you to know he was one of the toughest guys in every jail I've been. Greenhaven, Sing Sing. Yeah. He was just, he didn't respect the title. Yeah. Like if you tell me you're a wise guy, fuck you, I don't care. He's just big guy, tough guy. He just didn't know how to act in the streets. Every time he came home, like there was a guy, a boxer, Harold Green. I don't know if you heard of the name, old-time boxer. Mm-hmm. Uncle Freddie go drinking with him. They were good friends. He get drunk, Uncle Freddie would say to him, you know what? I'm in the mood to fight. He said, there's nobody in there to fight. Me and you. They wreck the whole bar and get up, drink, and laugh. That's the kind of guy he was.
And
I wish he was still alive.
But those guys,
I'd have fun with him.
Unfortunately, when they buck the authority like that, they don't have a long-lasting life expectancy.
No, he didn't. Yeah. He didn't. But, he never wanted no part of it. Junior wanted him with him because he was treacherous. But he didn't want to be told what to do. He didn't want to be, he didn't want to answer nobody.
One of the things that John A. Light touched on was, what you had said, the whole family in the decabs had turned upside down. What or who, if any, surprised you the most of who wound up cooperating out of that whole crew?
Well, Vinny, when he got arrested, there was a guy named Joey Carr Service. He got arrested months later on loan sharking. Rudy's brother-in-law. Joey Carr came to me when they picked everybody up. He says, Vinny wasn't acting really lately. Carrying a briefcase. Come to find out afterwards, it came out in the public news. He was recording everybody. He would go to you and say, Wade, do I owe you, I ever lend you any illegal money? He'll ask everybody these questions. Joey Carr said it was the strangest thing. He would ask them, do I ever threaten, you ever hear me threaten anybody? He was recording everybody. That was his way of winning his case or cooperating. Because when he flipped, you know who you hired? An attorney that only specialized in big-time cooperators. It begins with a C. Not Kavanaugh. He was an ex-prosecutor. Vinny hired him.
Okay.
So at that point, they're all in jail. I'm out. I'm doing my thing. Well, all of a sudden they picked me up on a charge I didn't even do. I could say it to the day I die. Stupid extortion charge. Pull up a guy's house, he said I threatened him. No. Didn't happen like that. I had an attorney in Manhattan that worked with me for years since he started. When I had the medical centers, we were staging accidents. I had 3 medical centers. Boulevard Medical, all over Coast Bay Boulevard. The Gottis knew about it. They weren't happy with Giuliano's. I had the Boulevard Medical. I opened one on 6th Avenue and 9th Street. We had the one in Roosevelt Avenue. We had the Dominicans running it. Staging the car accidents. Bringing guys in all day long. What size are you? 42 regular? We got an MRI to fit you. We had a business. My first quarter earning checks. Because you got to be a doctor to collect money from a medical center.
Right.
And I had P.S. Newman, which he flipped as soon as I went to him. P.S. Newman put up his license. I had every collision shop. Mikey Spat, a Colombo guy, wise guy, sending me everybody. You had an accident, we'll give you $1,500 each. Come to the medical center. Sign them up. Physical therapy 3 times a week.
So you were actually staging the car accidents itself? Or
some of them were staged, some of them were at the accident. You were a tow truck driver. You bring them to me, you're getting $1,500 each.
Wow. How long did
we had the place jammed. I had a chiropractor, neurosurgeon. We had everything on stage. I had the place jam-packed. I had the lawyer, I don't want to say his name. I like the guy a lot. He started out with me, and now he's one of the biggest shots in New York. Mm-hmm. And he finally put a desk in there. He was writing 3-4 deals a day. When he started, I don't lie to you, he was in a closet in a back room of another law firm. I told him, I'll make you rich. Okay. He was writing these cases. He was paying me, I think, $2,500 a case.
Wow.
So I'm bringing him half a dozen cases. I'm bringing him to the medical center. Man, I'm looking to get away from everything else.
Yeah.
I'm looking to legitimize myself, go right into this.
At that point, why not?
So then I got Anthony Capo and Jimmy Gallo. Jimmy Gallo is one of the shooters at the Fred Weiss murder. Mm-hmm. Serious guy. He did 25 years, came home, they charged him with these murders that Vinny told on. He took another 25. Mm. So they come into the medical center. They said, can we talk to Jimmy? I said, yeah. They called me on the side. I knew what it was about. My brother John. They thought he... So, where is he? I says, I know where he was. I says, I have no idea. I don't talk to him. As well, he introduced Jimmy Gallo. First time I met him because he did 25 years. And he said, yeah, I met Philly Abramo. He was the king of Wall Street. He was a captain in our family. Philly was a good friend. I like Philly a lot. We were close. And he said, Philly said you did time like a champ up at Fort Dix. Because what else can you do? You got to do time. Don't let it do you. That's what I'm saying. I did multiple bids. I did, like, one thing said me and Gotti were arch enemies, rivalries in the bookmaking loan shark business. And then after they attacked me, tried to kill me that night, that I agreed to cooperate that night. Not true.
Right.
I was in the hospital. I came out. We sat down months later. It was, everything was settled. Then they gave me permission to kill Habe. I didn't flip it to 2001.
Yeah.
This was 91, 10 years later. So there's a lot of misinformation. Yeah. Then there was another shooting I did in Staten Island. My brother John was living across the street, and one of the guys was on the case with Nicky and Lenny, Danny Burns. He had a brother named Sonny, and I had a 15-year-old niece. He liked her. He was like 19. And I warned him, Sonny, you don't want to do this. Come to find out, he overstepped the boundary. So my brother went at him, John. John would have went at you, nobody. 5 of them bombed my brother. So my brother lived in Staten Island, and this guy Danny Burns lived across next door. He used to move a lot of swag stuff for me that we were getting off Nicky and Lenny from that case. He was on that case too. They charged him. So my brother called me up, breathing like a bear. He had a problem. He went at the kid going out with his daughter, and he said, I need help. He said, every time I go out of my house, they rush me out. I said, all right, John, just stay there. I put together 2 cars, some drivers. Batman driving my black Lincoln LSC, they're fast, 5.0. He was driving that. I had a custom red Blaze all decked out. We had that parked 2 blocks away. So I parked on a dead-end street in Staten Island, and Danny lived on one side of the street. John lived completely across the street. So I said, John, I'm here. Don't, just listen to me. Stay calm. When I tell you to go outside, he said, as soon as I do, they're going to bum rush me. I said, okay, beautiful. As soon as I tell you to go outside, you go outside. You sure? John, I got you covered. I had the black Lincoln LSC. John goes outside, sits on his steps. The one that I want comes outside. He's got a Riviera. Reaches for a baseball bat out of the Riviera. I told Kevin, hit it. Stops. He sees me, goes to run. I said, too late. I walked on hands. Boom, boom, boom. I started flying. I looked at his brothers. I shot at them. I didn't hit them. Got in the car. We took off. Got the radio. All of a sudden, right over the radio, 122 precinct, Staten Island. They got a description of the car. Description of the car. Get in the red car with the guns. Driving it. Now, Kevin's calling me, listen, I got to get out of this car. It's coming all over the radio. They'll go black LSC. He's driving down Highland. They flew right by him this way. He pulls into McDonald's. If anybody knows about Staten Island, police station's right next door. He parked it in a McDonald's parking lot. They're looking for it. Literally facing their parking lot. Literally facing. Parked it like that. He went to McDonald's. I picked him up back to McDonald's. Off we went.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I get a phone call. They locked my brother up.
Wow.
All over Staten Island paper. Sirocco Brothers sneak attack. Staten Island paper. They could go good. I don't know if it's still out. So, make a long story short, the kid tells on my brother. He said John shot him. Danny told him, don't tell him Jimmy did it. Don't do it. What's the difference? I'm going to be just as mad now.
Yeah.
So, make a long story short, I go to Danny. I said, Danny, what the hell is wrong with you? You here to talk to you? But I tried, he's da-da-da-da. Danny, it's not going to get better. I'm going to leave it up to you guys. I'm just trying to, smarten you up a little bit. Mm-hmm. He said, well, let me see what I could do. Then he asked me for money, for the pain and suffering. I said, what the fuck is this, Jacoby and Myers? I'm going to fucking pay you for conversation? He's lucky he's breathing. He's with a girl underage. I'm supposed to whack this fucking kid. So, make a long story short, we settled it. We ended it. He walked in that courtroom and he told the judge, crutches and all. I can't remember who shot me. Prosecutor looked at me and says, don't worry, we don't forget. I smiled at him.
Jacoby?
2 months later, what does he do? Gets out of his cast. He runs away with her.
Wow. Jacoby and Myers, what is that, a law firm?
Yeah.
That it's
Like they do.
That's mentioned in the
lawsuits.
Gotti movie from '96 when he says he's talking. Yeah, he's having a conversation with his lawyer, who at the time I believe was the guy portraying Bruce Cutler, and it's at a time where he mentions to John, if they come with something hard, we may have to think about copping a plea. And he's just, it's that scene where he's like, hell no, nobody in this family is copping any kind of a plea. He's like, I can have Jacoby and Myers plea bargain my ass, cost me 8 cents. And he's basically telling him he's not going to take any pleas. But when you said that, that resonated in Jacoby and Myers.
So make a long story short, he runs off with her again. I go to Danny. Danny said, listen, please, I helped you last time. Sonny's hot. He's crazy. I can't handle this kid. I said, Danny, my niece don't pop up soon. I'm telling you, I'm going to hold you responsible. He lives in your house. He's your younger brother. I don't give a fuck if you got to do whatever you got to do to find out where this kid is. Because if I don't find him in an hour, I'm coming for you. We make calls. Okay, here's the address where they're at.
Wow.
My sister-in-law was with me, Mary. John was with me and me. Pulled up to the house. It was a townhouse on Father Capitan, Staten Island, facing the beach. It was the N unit. So I knew he couldn't run this way. So I stood in the back. John banged on the front door saying, Dana, Sonny, I know you're in there. He runs right out the back. What a mistake he made. I hit him the first time by his, down there, boom, boom, I hit him down there. And I rolled him over, put one right in the spine. Boom. You'll never run away again, cocksucker. I never got charged with it, but I profit to it.
Right.
Yeah, I told the feds all that.
I'm assuming he died.
No, he's on a shit bag in a wheelchair.
Oh, Jesus.
And then the beating we gave Jimmy Amico because Gotti let us. John Gotti Jr. Because Joe Smith, in part of the settlement too, because Amico gas station came up, I took over a piece of that. He got jammed up gambling, Jimmy Amico. And then Philly out in the back, he had a bait and tackle place. I had the Joker Poker out there. Vinny Asara got mad about that. That's another story. I got in trouble for that. So I took over part of the gas station. I even took over a couple of his trotter racehorses. Simpson, Blue Chip, Police Escort. That's how much he was into me. So we sat down over him too, and that was all squashed. They paid his bill, whatever they did to him. So Joe Smash said at the meeting, he said, one thing I need here, this fucking civilian punk disrespected me. Junior told him, crack his fucking head wide open. Okay.
He gave you
okay. Yeah. So make a long story short, we lured him downtown Brooklyn. Gets off his motorcycle, walking down Carroll Street, and as he's walking, Joe Smash, the wise guy, came out, cracked him with a bat. Fat Ronald was there. They were good. And I had a pipe right there. We went to work on him. We busted him up so bad. I kept the motorcycle. It was a nice Sportster.
You mentioned horses, and I think we talked about this at one point in time. But there's a documentary on Netflix called Bad Sport, and it covers the Arizona State basketball scandal with Headache Smith. I actually interviewed one of the top guys in that was involved in the point shaving scandal. His name was Joe Gagliano out of Chicago. I interviewed him. But there was a guy, and I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. I want to say they referred to him as Barney. But he was basically a hitman for horses. When these people would spend you've been around horses, they would spend top dollars, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars on these horses that's going to be in these races. And if something happens to where that horse can't perform anymore, they're out of a shitload of money. But you still got a horse. He's just not doing anything for you. They would hire this guy that would come in and he would plug up something and he would stick like this, I got an electrode or something. Basically, he would stick it in the horse's ass. And then when he plugged it into the wall, it would drop him dead.
Ice the outlet, one on each side, roach clips.
But
plug it.
the only way they could tell if it was that, they had to like look in there and look for that burn mark. Other than that, it gave the exact like symptoms of the horse dying of the colic. This guy was whacking horses all over the fucking place. And these people were getting huge payouts. And then, I mean, he was 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 20,000. I mean, he was killing horses left and fucking right. And then when it finally started coming down and a lot of people started getting in trouble, the guy that kind of promoted him to all the other people was going to have him killed. He found out about it. That guy was basically going to have him taken out to, you know, protect himself. And so then he wound up cooperating. But it was a really interesting story. If anybody's never seen it, definitely go check it out. It was on Netflix. It's called Bad Sport. I got a question before we wrap up, because we've covered a lot here. We've covered the murders. We've covered, you know, the situation with John D'Amato from the Decavs. With all your experience in the street, give me two. Who was the most feared that you ever heard about? Maybe not necessarily have one-on-one dealings. And then who do you think was the most feared that you actually dealt with one-on-one? And if it's the same person, it can be the same person.
Probably the most feared, I mean, civilians. If you knew my friend Pluto, I watched a lot of guys. He'd shoot you for looking at him crooked. He was one of them. I mean, he had dialysis at the end, a lot of people, but even before that, he thought nothing of shooting you. He was on his motorcycle real quick, get on the BQE. I knew the people in the truck. There was a little Toyota with like 5 Spanish people in it. I knew them. The girl Michelle DiPolito told me the story afterwards. Pluto stops at the light, goes around him. They say, "Yo, man, we're waiting to go to the light." Pluto says, "Fuck you." He says, posts a little 25 out, bang, 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 just drives off. Comes back to the house, goes upstairs, calls me, come on upstairs. I go in his house, go in his bedroom. He's sitting with the AK by the front window. I said, "Pluto, what's going on?" "Oh, I just shot a couple of Mexicans." So what do you mean? He said, "They know where I live. They know who I am." The kid's name was Tech. Tech caught a case years later, 25 years for clipping a kid. They were tough kids. They would have killed him. Pluto said, "Let them come." They said, "Pluto, they got." I'll tell you another shooting we did. He didn't care who he shot. We had another shooting. He shot 3 brothers in one day. I'll tell you what, they were all over Brooklyn looking for my Jeep. We used my Jeep. I was driving. With AK, he shot them. That's how bad he was. Jesus. Anybody that heard this and from downtown Brooklyn, they'll tell you Anthony Sarney from 6th Avenue, 22nd, psychopath. A raving lunatic. He was one of them. You know, listen, I don't look at it as you're a tough guy when you can pull a trigger.
Right.
Listen to me. These guys, he got by. What is the difference? You're capable. Anybody's capable of pulling a trigger. You know, these guys, that guy don't have whether he did or not. I still respect him. Mm-hmm. I don't understand this big, like it's like they're trying to show off who's got more violence. I'm ashamed of it. You know, I was an idiot. I had no fear factor. If I knew what I knew now, I look back and I say, how the fuck did I do these things?
So I think that's...
What was I thinking?
I think that's the perfect way to end this episode. You know, you've detailed a lot of your life, a lot of what's in your book. There's still way more in your book, so I recommend people definitely go get the book, check it out. We'll put a link for it in our show notes. But living the life that you lived, obviously, I'm sure there was some good times and some fun times. But it also took you away from your family for a lot of time, and then it totally changed your life. You had to join Witness Protection. In the first podcast that we did, if anybody haven't seen it, you know, you were almost, you know, found while you were in WITSEC. So it definitely had its pitfalls as well. If you had it to do all over again, what would you do?
With the technique, the feds, how sharp they are and the deals they're giving, definitely not this. I'd be a lawyer. Buy a lawyer. Everybody said I missed my calling being a lawyer. Mm-hmm. You know, that part, I definitely saying, law, I have no problem being military. I respect our men and troops. I do. I go to a restaurant, I see them there, I pay for them.
Absolutely.
I respect our men and troops. I mean, I was the asshole living the shortcut, enjoying life while they were fighting for me. I don't forget that.
And just out of curiosity, you heard what John A. said, his opinion on people that have cooperated. You know, you've said before, and I think you even said it in your first podcast, you're ashamed of what you've done. So how do you deal with that going forward? And what would you tell people when they ask what your opinions of cooperators are?
Listen, the bottom line is there's no. See, I was molded where you don't even discuss there's such a thing as the mob.
Right.
Mafia, what's that? Now instead of talking about their crimes, when they committed it, who ratted, how they found out this. I've never heard of that. It's like when I was in the cell with Sammy, see, I didn't go into it. I was going to wait one day and make this a good one. I had an argument with him about it. Same situation. He tried to say he's not a rat. I said, Sammy, hear me out. You sat with the feds. You testified in your suit. Went on Barbara Walters. I was a confidential. Yeah, but, Bo, you don't understand. You don't, tried all that. I said, Sammy, if John was bringing you heat, causing you in trouble, causing you to go to jail, why didn't you kill him? Bo, he was a boss. I said, what the fuck was Paul?
Valid.
You know what? Didn't even want to answer it. Skip the subject. Answer him, they answer that. Why'd you kill John? You're such a tough guy. You killed 19 people. Why'd you kill John? Ain't nothing to pull a fucking trigger. A fucking idiot could do it. He ought to hear him. I think he's getting he's getting old, I mean, if my boy, listen, Vinny, if Vinny didn't flip, me and him would have banged heads, without a doubt. And I wouldn't have thought twice, because here it is, I put 20 years in that family. I made a lot of money for that crew. A lot of money. And anybody around me could tell you that. Even Johnny A. says it. The kid was an earner. I didn't just earn by shaking people. No, I had my hands in everything, even drugs. I earned money in that too. I'm shaking them down, but robbing them. I gave 20 years to the Cavalcantes. To get out not knowing where you belong was not a good feeling.
Right. Tell everybody again where they can find your book, the name of it, all ways to access to it.
It's on Amazon. It's on all them, eBay, every site, every bookstore. Hitman tell all about the Mafia and the Witness Protection Program. And really, I gave all truth. I did no sugarcoating. I don't need the money. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing it for nothing. Just like Trump would say, I'm doing this to clear the air. And anybody wants to come on me, I'll talk to anybody. I got nothing to hide no more. I'm out. Jimmy Easy's out.
Well, I really hope this sheds some light on a lot of the people. I just call them doubters, because there's so many people that just because.
And I understand why, Dad. I understand because I hear a name, you Google, and nothing comes up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's valid. But what I was trying to express to people is I talk to people that I trust to give me good information. Right. Is there bad information out there? Do you get bad information? Yeah. Sometimes, unfortunately, you do. But with the people that I talk to, multiple people verifying certain aspects of your story, I felt confident of bringing you on. And then now you've got, John A. coming, and he's about, I mean, I don't think there's any debate now who you are, who you were involved with. You're getting contacted by some of the same people that were calling you a liar and a gypsy and everything else.
Yeah.
Now they're wanting to actually have you on. So
yeah.
I think that just needs to be a lesson to everybody, understand at work we have this saying, trust but verify. Somebody says something, trust them but verify what they're saying. I think right now we verified you.
Thank you, Wade. That's why I want to come back and do it with you, because honestly, you knew for sure. And the first guy was great. Matter of fact, he just invited me on again. He did another show to talk about how the guy Nadeau, am I saying his right? Nadeau, whatever his name is.
Jeff Nadeau.
How he stood there and bashed and said the guy's a clown, he's a fraud.
Oh, yeah.
He said, but meanwhile, he showed a boxing match, him getting his ass beat. He looked like he was drowning, not even fighting.
he made a comment on my video, and I could see it from the YouTube studio. But for some reason, it wouldn't show up on the comments. I'm not sure why. And I was going to reply to it, but I couldn't find it to reply to it. And he said the same thing. It was like, Gypsy Tales or something along those lines. I see him multiple times post stuff about you, but from what I understand, he's actually asking you to request you to be on the show.
He's on my Facebook all the time, Messenger, the thing, and yeah, I won't even, not even want to answer any of them. Anthony Ruggiano, yep. I like that kid. I'll go on with him because he's pretty down to earth.
Yeah.
Johnny A. too. I talk because me and Johnny could have a lot of funny stories because I could tell him stories about guys that I was in a wit sec with, would talk about him and tell stories. And when I was away with Carmine Agnello, so I'll tell you a quick story about that one. Public will love to hear this one. Carmine, we were in there with a bunch of us, and there was a wise guy in there from the Bonanos, Stevie Blue. Tough kid. We get done eating. I don't know if Carmine knew he was a wise guy. So the new guy washes the dishes. We have a thing in jail.
Right.
So Carmine said, hey, new guy, you washing the dishes. Told Carmine, he says, come here, I want to talk to you. He said, let me tell you something. He says, you got made because you married John Gotti's daughter. I got made because I got balls. Bang, he cracks Agnello. We all jump on him. We don't know he's a made guy. He didn't come in with a sign. We all jump on him. Gonzo, all of us jump on him. Make a long story short, we found out he was a wise guy. We had apologized, but Carmine got cracked. But Carmine fought back, but Stevie was tougher.
Right. Well, Zach, I appreciate you coming on the show, my friend. We'll definitely do some more stuff in the future. I hope this clears the air and adds some clarity to it. And again, for people that have not heard about the book, seen the book, we're going to have a link to it in our show notes. Go check it out. If you see him this podcast for the first time, go check out the first show we did with Zach and his author, Carissa. And I think that'll do it, my friend. We appreciate you coming on again, and love to have you back sometime in the future.
Whenever you're ready. I got more stories. More. I got one with Peter Gotti, I'll tell you next time.
All right. Sounds good, my friend. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this episode of Crime and Entertainment. We'll see you later on, my friend.
Talk to you, brother.
All right.